That's right. Hey, what is up, everybody? We are live, and my name is Mark, and I'm going to see if I can point the right direction the first time. Yes. And
oh, yes, you did. Okay, good job. Yay.
yeah, it's the opposite way I think it is. So my name is Mark, and this is...
I am Dawn Marie.
Yep. And we are here to hang out with you guys for the next hour or so, and we're going to talk about a couple things that we have planned, but we really just want to spend some time with you and to just really put some value into your day. And if we can help you with some things you're struggling with, we would love to do that. But we are excited to spend some time with all of you. But we're going to take about the next probably 2 or 3 minutes just to kind of shoot the breeze a little bit and give people time to get here. And then we'll jump into our content for the day. So let's start like we always do. Let's talk about the all-important weather. So I am in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area, and I just realized I was going to grab my phone to look at the temperature, but my phone is, well, I can't grab it. It's right there. But I think it's about 50 degrees here today, 50 and sunny. It's really nice.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, you're in what part of I know where you are, but tell everybody where you are.
Yes, so I am near Boise, Idaho. And I just looked, we are just about at 50 as well, nice. But it's kind of partly cloudy. Sun is trying to peek out a little bit. But it's cold for me. We didn't move far enough south. I want to be like Arizona heat, like bring it on. Being from like born and raised Minnesota, I am a baby when it comes to like cold weather. So I think the older I get, the hotter I want it. And so, but yeah, I like the mild winters here versus, compared to Minnesota. But we kind of joke that we didn't move far enough south because, it's more mild here, but it's definitely still like winter. We get flurries and, snow and stuff. It does melt though, which is different than Minnesota. Usually once it snows in Minnesota, it's there for months. Here it will melt, but it's still, 50 is about like, I want the low to be 50 and then go up from there.
So just like my wife, I need to buy her one of those hoodies that says, 24/7 cold, right?
Oh yeah.
Is that you pretty much?
Always freezing 24/7. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So are you, I wonder if, is your husband, is he kind of warm natured and you're cold, or is it?
No, I mean, he does wear shorts like all year round, like sandal, like it's hard to get him into jeans and stuff, but he loves the warm weather. So he is dying to get someplace warm as well. Yeah. But our kids, good. It's hard. So,
but my wife and I see, we keep the house as cold as is financially reasonable. And it doesn't matter if it's, if it's 40 degrees outside or if it's 110, she's under a blanket just because,
Yeah.
And so it's funny.
I always have my big slippers on. That's my thing. Yep.
She's from Minnesota also. So yep. So but it's interesting. She loves the cold and prefers it, but she's always cold herself. So she prefers the cold, but she's cold. So that's interesting. Yeah. So let's say hi to a few people. I can only see a few names, but I see Deborah is here. Good to see you, my friend. I see Rexy here. Good to see you. Betty Jean Fred. Good to see you. September. Good to see you from Texas, just down south of me, I think. Trisha, I think you're actually in Texas right now, but you don't live in Texas, but I think you're in Texas right now. If I remember from our messages the other day. A bunch of you, I can't see your names, so I don't know who's talking to me, but I see 54 and sunny somewhere. I don't know where that is. But I see Deborah's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So maybe that's where you want to go. Yeah.
Maybe warmer. Yes.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Well, we got almost 20 people here so far. So we'll give another. Oh, hey, Samita. Good to see you. So you're down in the ATL, I believe, right? Good to see you. We got a Western Kansas. KS is Kansas, not Kentucky, Mark.
It's okay. It's whatever.
I know. Right. I love there's a comedian that talks about how they came up with the abbreviations for the states. If you should look that up, it's pretty funny. Those are pretty great. So Western Kansas, sunny and gorgeous. Green Chile, New Mexico. Yeah, that sounds like food to me. Is that a city? I'm not sure, but I'm hungry now. I'm not sure. Trisha, you said you got home last night, so you're back in Louisiana. Good deal. I'm glad you're here with us. This is great. All right. A few more seconds and we will get started. So if you guys just got here, say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from and tell us what your weather is, and we will get started here in just a minute. And I'll have Dawn act like we're starting all over, and we're just going to introduce ourselves so we can edit this later. And we'll get into this. This is great. Dawn Marie fan here. Stacy Matthews.
Aw, hey Stacy.
Oh, and yep, Brandon. Oh, good to see you, Brandon. Yep, from right down the way. And Stacy says Dawn Marie fan here. Very cool.
So sweet.
Yep. Tammy is in Maine, and she said it's cold. Maine just sounds cold.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Maine, it just that's burr. It sounds cold.
That's great. That's great. Oh, and we got Rick from North Georgia, 45, pretty much the same as here, a few degrees cooler, and same as where Dawn's at, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Oh, see, I keep hitting the wrong ones. A cold 60 in Las Vegas. Nice. And then, of course, we got another Dawn fan. There's going to be a lot of those today, I have a suspicion.
Aw, you guys are so sweet.
That's great. 73 in Texas. Yep, that's
I'll take that.
Probably southern Texas, I'm going to guess you are somewhere. We got sunny Tampa. And we've got sunny Southern California, windy and 70, SJ.
It's probably a warm wind though, huh?
I'm going to bet it is probably. Yeah. I hit a few more here. Just a second. Looking for the cough microphone. There we go. We got Kendra, 40 degrees in Illinois. It'd be 60 on Friday. Was unusual. Yeah, that's unusual for that part of the country. That's not too far from Michigan, where I'm from. We got Angie from Refined Crafts in Ohio, 38. Yeah, it's a little chilly there. That's more than I was expecting from Illinois, right? Boy, you guys are just everywhere. North Dakota, Betty, 32 there. To a couple more. Northeastern Illinois, cold and cloudy with Linda. All right, this is great. Lots of people talking. We got about 30 here so far, so that's awesome.
Nice.
That's great. Sorry, I don't see your name, but cutting out walnut trays is not too bad in the garage. That's cool. Yeah. Isn't that kind of all of our lives, right? We're just doing our thing and hoping the weather allows us to do it. That's for sure.
Either heat the garage, try to cool the garage, whatever you need to do out in the garage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I've been out there trying to spray paint when I shouldn't be, when it's way too cold. Oh, hey, Bale. Good to see you. Bale, I need to catch up with you. My fault. Ball's in my court. I know. Good to see you. Awesome.
She needs to stay on me too for getting my homework done.
Yep. She knows. We're just all kind of all bad on that. That's cool. All right. Oh, I got to answer this question because Betty asked, where in Michigan am I from? I am from Flint, which not a lot of people claim that nowadays. But yeah, I grew up in Flint. I actually was born in Royal Oak, right outside of Detroit. We moved to Bay City, and then I lived most of my young teenage years in Flint before I moved to Oklahoma. So yes.
It explains why you're a Michigan fan. So that
it is.
Totally
That's exactly right. Because I grew up there. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's get started here. Thank you for joining us, everybody. If you come in late, you have to leave early, or if you just missed the live, you can watch this anytime you want. It's going to be just available on demand on my YouTube channel, in my group, on my Facebook page. So you can watch this anytime you want. If you have any questions for Dawn, please drop it in the chat. We will do our best to keep up with those if we can. And of course, if you ask after this is live, we will do our best to keep up with that as well, because we are really here for your success. That's what we want more than anything. And so Dawn, let's just get started by, I was trying to think, I don't remember where we first connected. I know the first time I met you in person was in Melbourne, Florida. Or wait, was it in Melbourne, I think?
Yep.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Okay. First time in person. But as far as, I don't remember exactly how long we've known each other online. I don't recall. Probably just. I
don't remember either, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been a while.
I would say it's probably been a couple of years, plus or minus.
Yeah.
Something like that. Because I'm sure we bumped into each other in all the groups, because we're kind of in most of them, it seems like.
Right.
But Dawn, real quick, before we get into kind of the meat of what we want to talk about, why don't you just introduce yourself as far as what you do and where people can find you? And then we'll do that again at the end when we get to the end too.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I am Dawn Marie with Sign Parties 101. So basically, I started a sign party business, a local sign party business, way back in 2016. And I got really good at doing that business. And then I decided to move it online and teach people how to do what I did. So anybody can learn how to have a sign party business, whether that is in person parties, virtual parties, through kits, stuff like that. So that is what I do now. Is my full-time job is I teach people how to have a successful sign party business. My website is dawnmarieleggett.com, and you can find all sorts of stuff on there. So that is kind of where you can find me. Or my Facebook group is Sign Parties 101. I also have a page, Sign Parties 101, and an Instagram. So I'm kind of everywhere, or in any of these other Facebook groups. I'm usually in there. So if you tag me with a question about sign parties or whatever, you can usually find me in there. So
nice. Thank you. I was going to just throw it on the screen there too. I had to type it real quick. It's
Oh,
funny
yeah.
how slow I type when I'm under the gun.
Yeah. Spelling wrong and all that. Yeah.
Oh no, I went and opened another window and copied it. I wasn't
Yeah.
about to. I did that wrong.
Yes.
But you guys throughout today, just hit up her website whenever you want to, if you don't know what she does, and check that out. And also, besides teaching people about sign parties, you also do some mentorship, right?
Yeah, so I do. I'm getting into 2024 will be a new year for me as well, but I'm getting into the coaching and mentoring space as well. Whether you have a sign party business or you want to learn how to get a business online, I'll be in that space. So I just my heart behind all my stuff is I love seeing people be successful and grow in their businesses. Whether that is doing what you're doing and you want to expand, or you're learning how to pivot, right? Because a lot of us as business owners had to pivot over the years, and kind of learning what that looks like and where we can go from there. And I just really love to see people succeed. And so that is what everything is based around.
And I think that, among other things, is kind of one of the reasons why we feel like kindred spirits together, because we just love seeing people succeed. We love when we hear stories about somebody, like I love the really specific ones, like, hey, I took that file that you made and I bought it for $7 and I made $700 for my family.
Right.
That just makes my heart so happy, because I want to see you succeed, because I know that the tide raises all ships. I just want to see you guys hit whatever dreams you have for your business, for your family, individually, whatever. And I know Dawn's exactly the same way.
Yeah. And I love it too. I remember one time I got a message from somebody saying that her husband had lost his job. And because of what they learned from me with sign parties, she decided to give it a try. And they didn't have to touch their savings because they were able to live off of the sign parties until her husband got a new job and stuff. And like, just hearing that sort of thing, like, it can really change lives. And that's what I love doing. So
I love it. And, it just jumped to my mind too. Besides the business aspect, I think a lot of us would say that we've met some of our best friends and most valued friends through this kind of thing, right?
Right.
Like, you meet people, other business people. When you do sign parties, for example, you meet a bunch of folks, spend, an hour, 2 hours with them. You spend time with them.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of an added benefit that I think is really cool.
Yeah,
in fact,
absolutely.
I would say that that's one part of my business that I kind of miss, because I don't do as much in person, perhaps, as like people who do sign parties, for example.
Right.
So that's even more why I'm excited about. Dawn and I were talking about our upcoming conference that I can't tell you all about yet. But I'm so excited about that because I enjoy just being with people.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing. Even just like the LBX conference that just happened, a lot of our members were able to go, and a lot of people that just in the community, and you get these entrepreneurs together. Some of them are way advanced, right? Way doing this for years. And some of them are just thinking about getting started, but yet you put everybody in the same, in the same place under the same roof. And it's just all these connections can be made, and it's like magic happens, and that's what I love. Yeah.
And me too. We've joked in several different ways about, like Will and I talk about these different events that we've done together, where we think the content is great. And of course it needs to be great, but the things that we go home talking about are the things between the meetings or after the meetings where we
Right.
talk about, oh my gosh, I got to sit in the hotel lobby for 3 hours with Dawn, or,
Yeah.
and we joke because we almost have to make this giant event so that we can all do the things that we could have done anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's like you have to make this, big production out of, going to coffee with somebody or whatever. Yeah.
right.
Like, yeah, I tell my husband, I came home and I was like, hey, when me, you and Will, snuck out for coffee that one time,
Yep.
I was like, that was so much fun,
It was.
but it's like, we had to go across the country to this big conference in order to go out to coffee,
Which is
so
hilarious. Yeah.
yeah.
If only there was some technology where we could, like, I don't know, video chat. That's stupid. Someday that'll come about. I don't
Yeah.
know. Well, so you and I, when we were preparing for today, we realized that there's so many things we'd love to talk about, and we will, hopefully I can get the honor of having you back again, and we'll just talk about other stuff. But today, one of the things that you and I really kind of resonated with yesterday was talking about some of the speed bumps, some of the challenges that creators like all of us have, the things that we struggle with sometimes. And one of the words that came out during our conversation that you said was guardrails. And you mentioned how throughout your life, as you're continuing to grow as a business person, you're learning to put different guardrails into your life, into your business, into your routine that kind of help you to not get completely off the road and to kind of get to from A to B in a safe way. And we hit a lot of different things yesterday, and I don't know that we'll be able to get them all today. But I just wanted to kind of jump into that. Let me start by asking you this, and I would love everybody in the chat. We've got about 35 people here at the moment. If you've got some things that you are struggling with as a creator, put that in the chat. Tell us what that is, and maybe we can address it a little bit, at least share some of the ideas that me and Dawn have, or if nothing else, we can say, fist bump, we feel the same way.
We probably do. Yeah.
We probably do. Either we do now or we have before. Let's just start by saying this. You mentioned several things yesterday. Let me start by this one. With this one, sometimes as entrepreneurs, we can feel overwhelmed by things. We can feel overwhelmed by our schedule. We can feel overwhelmed by either lots of business or the other side of it, not enough business. We can feel overwhelmed by just all the things that are coming at us, the requests that are being made, things that we should say yes to, things that we should say no to, just kind of feeling overwhelmed. Share your heart with us for a little bit about being overwhelmed, and what are some of the things that you do? What are some guardrails that you put into your life that kind of help you, if not completely get rid of being overwhelmed, at least manage it and keep yourself on the road that you want to be on? Talk to us a little bit about being overwhelmed.
Yeah. So I have to I have like a list of things that, when I was thinking about that yesterday, I was like writing down, and another one just came to my head, and I have to write it down or like thoughts go in and write back out. But so it's hard, right? We want to be all the things to all the people at all of the times. And whether that's family, friends, community, business, customers, like, we want, usually as entrepreneurs and as business owners, we want to appease everybody, right? And we can't do that. Nobody can do that 100% of the time. You can never make, everybody happy all the time. But one thing I like to think about is like, why did I go into business? And one of my biggest whys is my family, right? I had a big goal of retiring my husband because he was gone so much. We have 7 kids, and our oldest 4 that are now all teenagers at the moment. They remember when they were little, Dad wasn't home. And like that, makes me sad. But that is why we tried to, get out of that situation with him having to work all the time and whatever. And so that was one of my biggest whys. I do have to say I did that in 2020. He came home, and so he has been home since. But my biggest why is my family. And, one of the things, if we don't put these guardrails up, if we don't set some boundaries for ourselves, our business, and so forth, we can wreck our relationships that we're trying to do this for, so like just what we talked about yesterday, like, if you say you're doing this for your family, but you're wrecking all your relationships in the process. And then by the time it's all done, like you're estranged from your spouse, your kids don't know who you are, like all this stuff, like, was it really worth it? Like, for what? And so that's where having these kind of guardrails and boundaries in place is really trying to prevent any of that stuff from happening, right? We're going to have busy times. We're going to have times that are more crazy and so forth. But the overall picture, I would love to have everybody kind of, paint the picture of, like, in your ideal world, what is that going to look like? And then try as much as you can to put those guardrails in place. So for example, one of them for me was, I'm trying to get better, right? No, we're not perfect, and I'm going to mess up just like everybody else. To really, I don't want to work on Sundays. I don't want to, if you email me or if you direct message me on a Sunday, there's a good chance I'm not going to respond. And it's not because I don't love my community. It's not because I don't want to be there, but I have to put some guardrails in place and make my family known that they are important to me, and I'm able to set aside my business and stuff for that time. And so that is a guardrail, for example, that I put into place where Sunday is just off limits.
That's great.
So that's one. I don't know if you want to comment on that, or if you want me to just
I'll just throw this in. No, I want you to keep talking mostly, but we talked a little bit about it. I am naturally a people pleaser. And if we're just going to be transparent, because it's just you and me, nobody else here, right? I can just say this, when people start to praise you for things, you tend to start doing it more, even if those things are unhealthy. Right. Like, when you answering things like me, answering things, not just after 5 p.m., but I'm talking about like after midnight, and answering things, and then people say, "Oh my gosh, Mark, you're so amazing. You answer so quickly." And then I have a tendency to just do it more because I like the praise.
Right.
All the while I'm doing something that's just not healthy for me, but also not needed for them. People don't need a 2:00 in the morning answer, but we find ourselves doing it because we get praised for it. Right.
Yeah. And you don't want them to maybe think not positive about you, right? Like, oh, well, Mark didn't answer me right away, so is he going to answer me next time right away? It's like, oh no, I don't want you to think that, so I'll just answer you quick right away. And those are those things that, if not watched, every once in a while, if you're, on your phone at 10 p.m. and an answer, or, a question pops up, can you answer it? Sure. But, for like the big picture, doing that all the time can, set you up for having that unhealthy habit. Kind of. So that is definitely something.
I'll show you one phrase, and then I'll let you go on with what your thoughts were. Is years ago, I worked in a church for a long time, and years ago I did a series called Risk Takers, and I talked about how important it is in our lives sometimes to take risks. Risks are not inherently bad, but one of the phrases I just meditated on for a long time was, it's been a long time, so let me get it right. It was that I believe that we are supposed to take risks like for our family, but not risks with our family. Like, we don't risk our family, and it's an interesting balance to walk, is making sure that, yes, sometimes I do stretch on behalf of my family, but make sure that stretch doesn't put my family at risk. That's not, it's not as, it makes you ask more questions, which actually is, that statement makes you ask questions, which is actually good. But I think that's something that all of us have to keep in mind is, sometimes we say, hey, I'm doing this for my family. But if we're not careful, 20 years later, we realize we've lost our family in pursuit of something else.
Right.
So that's really important. Go on with some other guardrails, perhaps, that you have in that regard.
So one of the big ones for me is, and this, maybe right away, it may not seem like, how is that important with business? But, for me, so I get hangry. I don't know if anybody else can relate. Yes. And I tend to make stupid decisions when I'm hungry. And so even stuff like meal planning or meal prepping, when you like are going to be in hustle mode. And I know a lot of us right now, in November, December is kind of like go time. And, if you're doing retail products or even parties and stuff, a lot of people do them in the fall and in the winter because hunting season, the guys are gone. So the women like to party, kind of thing. And it can be really, really stressful. And when you don't plan for that, you can just fill your body with all the stuff that's not necessarily great for you, and then you feel worse. And it's kind of just like a domino effect. So one thing for me I like to do is, when I know especially that it's going to be a crazy time, or I'm going to have a really busy day or whatever, plan for that. And actually, when I think about it, 99% of all these guardrails can really happen with just some planning. So it really, for me, comes down to like, if I'm intentional about my time and intentional about my schedule coming up, and you can kind of work backwards and know, like, what am I going to have to do because of X, Y, and Z coming up, you can really foresee a lot of this. And so meal planning is one thing that I do, kind of a guardrail that I put up. So I know I'm going to be eating healthier. I know I'm not going to be eating so much on the fly. I know I'm going to be, nourishing my body. You may think it's kind of silly, but one of the things I have is like, after a certain time of the day, if I'm going to eat, if I'm hungry, let's say I've had a really busy evening and I don't get to eat until 8 p.m. that night or whatever. If it's after a certain time, I will only eat stuff that is like real food. So like no processed food. So like if I'm hungry, that means like an apple with some peanut butter, or a banana, or a smoothie, or something like that. So I know if I'm eating later, it's going to be like real food. Not, I know, like, again, it's crunch time right now. A lot of people I see like, oh, I'm living on Red Bull and Cheetos and stuff. Like every once in a while, yeah, great, go ahead. But if that becomes a habitual thing, it's not going to be good for you long-term as a business owner. Like, you can't function well. You can't make great decisions. You can't be burning at both ends, for the long term. And so again, being intentional, doing a meal plan, or talking with your spouse if you have one, or somebody at home that could help with the meals. A lot of people are like, oh, I have kids and that won't work or whatever. I have something different to say about that, which actually comes into another one, is get your kids involved. So, as a mom of a large family, and I started my business when all 7 of my kids were under the age of 11. So I had 11, 10, 9, 8, 3, 2, and 11 months, I think is how they went. But they were 1 to 11 when I started my business, and my husband was on the road a lot. And so I know busy. I had like a million toddlers for forever, is what it seemed like. Yeah. And so I totally get it. But one thing that I had to do, kind of as a busy mom of a lot of kids, is put systems in place that my children are responsible for. So this is kind of another thing where, one question I get all the time, and maybe this seems like it's off topic a little bit, but like, oh, as a mom of a large family, like, you must have laundry, like you must be doing laundry all the time. And I'm not. I hardly ever, I do my laundry when it's like the basket gets full, and that's it, because I have taught my kids, all 7 of them, my youngest is 8 right now, all 7 of them do their own laundry. Nice. I have 4 boys. They do their own laundry. They wash their own sheets. They wash their own towels. I never see their laundry because they do it, And so it's like, if your kid can run a phone, your kid can run a wash machine. And so, but little things like that, where it's like, you can take the stress off of you, basically going back to delegating, I guess. Don't put everything on you. Delegate some of that out. Make your kid make dinner one night a week, or have them clean the house and do the laundry. Like, it's little systems like that put in place, and over time, it will take so much stress off of you. So I guess both of those just kind of go back to being intentional and planning ahead with like meal prep and things that have to go on in your household too. That is kind of helping balance that work family life. So the phrase, I know a lot of people don't like being called a loser, but you know what, if this pokes you a little bit, that's okay, is the phrase I've heard a lot, is losers make excuses, but winners find a way. And I want to win, right? And I want to win in life. I want to win in my marriage. I want to win in my spiritual life. I want to win in my physical life. You mentioned earlier eating right, and I'm still working on that, but I'm doing better than I've ever done before. And I will tell you, just from a very personal story, real quick, is
most of us, if you don't make good choices, choices will be forced upon you. And at some point, meaning you might get so unhealthy that you must make changes.
Right.
I found out last year that I'm diabetic. So I'm working through that, and I'm fine. I'm great. Life is awesome. You know what? I've never eaten better now because I have to.
You have to be more intentional. Yeah.
Well, and I guess I technically have a choice, I guess, but I don't really look at it that way because I would like to live. Therefore,
right.
Yes. But my point to that is because I'm in great place. Life is awesome. In fact, actually, life has never been better. But I also think just soberly, I think I don't know where life would have been today if I had made different choices in the past. But almost certainly eating better, I certainly probably would have been in a better place today. And so now I'm just saying, hey, I'm noticing, wow, Mark, you made dietary choices literally overnight because your doctor said you had to. And then I thought, why didn't you do that on your own?
Right.
And so that was not a negative for me. It was a positive saying, hey, you know what? You can do these things if you decide to.
Right.
And so because I realized, I not only can do it, I did do it. I'm thinking, what other parts of life can I do that with? Because like with you, having 7 kids, people would say, oh my gosh, I've got 2 little kids in diapers. I can't do it. And I would gently but firmly say, I think you can.
Yeah.
Now, is it easy? No. Are there hard days? Yes. Are you going to struggle? Are you going to fail? Oh, without a doubt. Right. But in the end, you can do these things. And I just think we got to find a way, not find an excuse. And, you're just sparking all these things in my mind. I really enjoy working with people in life and in business. I like working with people who consider all options instead of shooting down all of them. I work with lots of people. I have some friends, unfortunately, that do this, is when they're working through a problem and I come up with an idea, they immediately tell me why it won't work instead of saying, what an interesting idea. Let's tweak that a little bit. I like yes people, not no people. I was talking to somebody the other day and they told me a problem they were dealing with. And quite literally, they spent 20 minutes of our conversation telling me why my ideas wouldn't work, but not coming up with any ideas of their own. I just go, come on, find a way. Don't find an excuse.
Right. And I like that mindset shift of, instead of, I hope this can work. I hope I can, to I will make it work no matter what. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to do it. I'm going to, that was I did a post yesterday in Sam Party's 101, and it was 3 things that I did. I reached 125,000 my first year with just physical sign parties. And that was because I didn't know anything. There was no mentor groups. There was no nothing. This was before I didn't even think about looking on Facebook. Actually, I was just so determined that I was going to make this happen because I saw my vision. Yeah. And it's that one of those mentality shifts, right? From I hope I can do this, or I'm not sure if I can do this, and shift it to, this is what I want to do. So I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to talk to the people. I'm going to get the coaches. I'm going to buy the things. I'm going to research. I'm going to, whatever it is, if you want to do it, there's going to be a way. You just have to predetermine that you're going to figure it out. And there is a way to figure it out. There is a way to do hard things. Yes, as being a parent, period. I don't care if how many kids you have, it's hard. Being a business owner, I don't care what business it is. It's hard. It's just that we have to keep going. You have to pivot. You have to, learn how to get over the hurdles, put positive things in your mind, listen to positive, podcasts or encouraging messages, call that friend that makes you laugh, whatever it is, you have to get yourself in a situation to win. And then you can get over those hard things easier, but there's always going to be hard things. You can't just give up when it's oh, this is hard, give up. I actually thought the other day, which I was talking to my husband, I was this is so interesting to me. And I've seen it all over the place. And you guys probably have too, but it was the thing of when a baby or a toddler is learning how to walk, after the 50th time they fall down, they don't say you know what, this walking thing is just not for me.
No.
It's not for me. I'm just never going to do it. Well, no, like it doesn't even cross their mind. They're like, dang it, get up, try it again, get up, try it again, get up, try it again. Like they maybe will crawl for another week or two. Then they get up and try to get like, there's never been one that's like, forget it. I'm not walking, you know, cause I've fallen too many times. It's like, no, they just get up and go. And I was like, isn't that interesting when us as adults come across something that's like hard or difficult or whatever, we're like, I'm out, too tough.
That reminds me of an analogy I heard one speaker talk about. Is he said it was in the context of church, but this works everywhere. Is he said, how many of you guys have ever gotten a bad haircut before? Well, the first time you got a bad haircut, you just never got a haircut ever again, right? You just quit. You just quit getting haircuts. No. Right. Who's ever gotten a bad meal at a restaurant? You know, oh, I stopped eating. You know, no. Now you may stop going to that restaurant, but you didn't stop eating. You just made changes and kept moving forward, right?
Yeah.
And so many times I see people make that kind of decision where they say, "Oh, that never works." Oh, well, no, that's not true. That actually works all the time. Maybe you need to try again. Maybe you need to try a different way. But just simply giving up, you know, I've had people with lasers, you know, in our context. I tried that. It didn't work. And, you know, people who've been around a little longer, we go, yeah, you didn't actually do that right. Or you know, but you gave up already. So many times I start to like, especially because we spend most of our time talking to people online. Occasionally it's in person, but a lot of times it's online. And I start to respond to somebody who needs help. And then I realize I can tell their brain is stuck and they are not moving forward right now. And until they're ready to move forward, I'm just wasting my time, you know? So it's interesting. The types of people I love to work with are people that want to move forward, but you don't have to fight them. It makes me think of like lifeguards who get drowned by the people they're trying to save.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, stop kicking for just a second, you know?
Yeah.
My dad's passed away now, but I loved him so much. But he was older and he sometimes would spend more time telling me how he can't do something than just stop talking for a second and listen to the one who actually knows how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes just mindsets need to change and change from, you know, I can't do this to, I'm like you said, I just put it on the screen, you know, I will make it work. I will figure it out.
Yeah.
It's okay to say, I don't know right now. That's all right. But just add to it. I'm going to get it.
I'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah, so absolutely. Okay. So another kind of guardrail, if you will, that my husband and I have decided to, no matter how busy we get, we are going to prioritize us. So if you have a relationship that's super important to you, whether that is with a child, whether that is with your best friend or a parent or a spouse or whatever that is, not putting them or not putting your business over that relationship. So no matter how busy we get in business and in life, we always do a date night. And, you know, like we try once a week. And that doesn't even have to be going out. You know, some people, again, might be like, oh, I have a ton of little kids. I can't do that. Or finances won't let us, whatever. Go to your room and shut the door. And that's mom and dad time or whatever it has to look like for you. Prioritizing those relationships. I think maybe it just comes back to that, prioritizing the relationships, which is so huge because again, if I'm building my business, if I am, you know, doing this for my family, I do not want to sacrifice them in the process.
Yes.
And just like what we talked about. And again, I can use that for me, my personal experience over different things. So like, I don't want to sacrifice my health for my business. I don't want to sacrifice my relationships for my business. You know, there's certain things. Yes, are there sacrifices you're going to have to make? Maybe you're going to have to, you know, cut your relationship with Netflix a little bit in order to get ahead or whatever. There are sacrifices that you need to make as a business owner, but what are the priorities? What are your top ones that you're not willing to sacrifice? And then work your life, work your business around that.
Man, I put it on the screen. I heard somebody say it one time that my schedule tells on me. You say something's important, but it gets the last minutes of the week. And what gets the most minutes in the first minutes are what actually matters to you most. Now, are there temporary exceptions to that? Come on. I mean, by the way, this is kind of, to me, the difference between a loser and a winner is if you're always trying to shoot holes in what somebody says, you're missing the point here.
Right.
I get that some of us have to go to work. That's not what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
But over time, in the areas of life that you do have control over and do have choices over, how are you prioritizing those times, right? And I will actually go further than that. Over the long run, everybody can start shifting things towards something. Like maybe today you have to work X number of hours, but I will tell you in the next year, if you keep working on it, maybe you can shave an hour off here, an hour off there. Right. Maybe you can change jobs. Over time, maybe your job is consuming a little too much of your life, but you can work toward it being more balanced. It'll just take time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up a good point, because that's not to say that there's not going to be short seasons where, when I was building my sign party business, there were times that I had to sacrifice sleep, which wasn't healthy, over the long term. But I did that for a short period of time to get to my next level. And then I was able to hire people. And then I was home more. And then so it's, again, short periods. This is not like, the next 20 years, you're going to have to work 17 hours a day in order to, you're doing something wrong if that's the case. But it's like, there's going to be little exceptions. There's going to be short, periods of time that you're going to have to do this. And then also you brought up, which made me think of expectations. A lot of times I feel like people are like, if I don't reach my goal in the next month, then I'm done. Like, it's just, but like you said, it might take you a year to shave off those couple hours here and there. But look at, again, over the long period, look at how much that can change. What is it, like a degree a day or whatever, like can totally change the trajectory of everything in a year's time. So like, it's baby steps. It's little at a time. We're not saying like go from how you are to absolutely perfect by tomorrow or whatever. It's what can you do? What is your intention with your business long-term? What are priorities to you? Like, these are questions that, everybody has to answer themselves. And then you can slowly pivot and shift to make it more, doable for you.
That is so good, man. That's good. You made me think of just the incremental things, right? I like to use 365 or, referencing the number of days in a year or 7 days in a week or whatever. But I think about 365. If I decide to just make one improvement every day, and I'm talking about, it can be tiny, but that's 365 improvements, right?
Yeah.
So many times I'll just something really physical, very obvious here in my office. I should say, because I'm the leader, buck stops with me. When our area gets just really messy, disorganized, first of all, I go, yep, that's my mess. And secondly, like I talk to Tyler all the time, is, hey, sometimes we'll have a cleaning day, sure. But sometimes I just say, hey, when you're walking by your desk, just pick up one thing on the way over there and just pick it up and walk and put it where it belongs. And do not come back and pick up something else. Don't worry about it. Just grab something else when you go by it, right? And it's amazing how, honestly, you think nothing's happening, and then over time, it's clean.
Right.
Yeah,
which is something that, we've done with our kids. Like, every time you go upstairs, take something that belongs up there, back up there, since you're going. Or like multitasking, right? When you're standing there brushing your teeth, wipe down the counters while you're brushing or whatever. Like, just those little things over time. Yeah. And it made me think of like, a lot of us maybe want to introduce our business to somebody else in the community or whatever, but that idea is daunting. Like, how do I even do that? There's like so many people and, whatever. And I thought about it, like, if you sent an email out just introducing yourself, like, hey, I've been to your store, I've been to your restaurant, and I really love it. I just want to introduce myself. This is what I do. Just wanted to say, hey, or whatever, just that touch point. And you just sent out one a week.
By
the end of the year, that's 52 new contacts that you've just made. One email a week seems like, to me, that seems like 100% doable. Like, an email a week. How many emails do we send out? Like, but an intentional email a week, and by the end of the year, you're at 50 52 new contacts. I mean, you probably don't even need 52 new contacts to bump your business up to the next level. So,
right.
So yeah, definitely little things over time can make such a huge difference.
Boy, that's so good. And that is in any area of life, right? Whether it's, like you said, sending an email, or maybe something, struggling with the word here, reducing something like, hey, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to do one less of that, because sometimes we're talking about additives, but sometimes it's, hey, I'm going to spend 5 minutes less on something than I used to, or whatever, So
15 minutes a day less on social media, add that up. Do you know how
Right.
many days you will get back of your life?
Yes.
You don't realize that, but it does. It adds up so much. I was just listening. I don't remember the specifics. I have it written down somewhere, but Brendan Burchard is I love listening to him. He's kind of like a life coach. And he had said those people, like the high achievers, they do less social media a day, basically. And he kind of, he formulated out where if you do a half hour, so like 30 minutes a day, you saved it was like, however he did it, it was like 2.5 months more of 8-hour work days than like the average person. So it's like, if you want to excel in your trade or in your business or whatever, if you just put a half hour extra in, then the person next door, you'll have like 2.5 months or whatever it was. It was mind blowing, because we don't feel like, oh, it's 15 minutes here, 30 minutes there. But when you add it up collectively, it can make such a huge difference.
Man, on that note, I'm going to, hopefully other people will laugh. They've done this too, but on my iPhone, it automatically starts out telling me my usage per week. Or it can tell you how much time you spent on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
Oh, turn that off right away. I don't want to feel that guilty.
Yeah.
But that is really eye-opening, right? When you go,
it is.
Gosh,
for
how
sure.
many hours? Right. That's really good. I did a Monday motivation several weeks ago, kind of on, again, I think my brain is really circling around one thing right now, I've noticed, but just the whole idea of making an excuse or making a way. Several weeks ago, I was thinking about how many reasons we have that we just need to abandon, even though they're true. For example, you can say, I'm 54 years old, right? Now I feel like I'm just now starting to be the best I've ever been at everything, but that's my mentality. I've got more wisdom than I've ever had. I've got more experience than I've ever had. I'm smarter than I've ever been. But a lot of people will see that differently. But we'll say I am too old to blank, blank, blank. Okay. Or I don't have enough money to blank, whatever. And here's the thing I said about that is sometimes that's true. Sometimes you are actually old. Yeah, you're old. Or yeah, you have X amount of dollars. Yeah. Tell you what, let's either just hang out there, or let's say I am old and guess what? I'm going to figure out how to do something anyway. Or I have this many dollars in the bank. I'm going to figure out how to do something anyway. Let's just get past the excuses because we want to win, right? I think a lot of us have heard this story, and I don't know how true this is. I hate when I repeat stories that aren't true. I hope this one's right. But the idea is the same as there's people that talk about baseball, and they talk about hitting a fastball, a major league fastball. And they talk about they've measured everything from the moment that the batter sees the ball come out of the pitcher's hand, how many milliseconds they have to make a decision on first of all, to get the bat, I say off their shoulder. I know it's not sitting on their shoulder, but to decide to move it, and then to get it all the way around. They say statistically it's impossible to hit a fastball, and yet it happens every day.
Right.
And I think the idea there is I can go ahead and say that I can't hit a fastball, and then therefore I can't. But you know what? Other people are doing it. So can I.
Right.
And that comes to in our families. Hey, I can have a healthy marriage. Hey, I can eat healthy. Hey, I can succeed in business. I can have more success than I did before. Or I can just always talk about excuses.
Yeah. And that comes back to like, you know, I don't know how much we want to dive into it today, but like the whole mindset thing,
do it.
You know, it's so important. And, you know, and I talk to myself just as much as I talk to everybody else about mindset and what we tell ourselves. And, you know, that it's proven like scientifically that our thoughts create connections. It creates actual matter in our brain. And so what we tell ourselves does become our reality. So if we're constantly like, I can't do this, I can't figure it out, I'm too old, I'm too broke, I'm too this, I'm too that. Yep. Then you're going to be that, you know, but if we continue to tell ourselves, you know, and this is what the whole, like, I've seen it a lot is like, you know, the positive affirmations and the, you know, the self-talk and stuff. And well, some of us think it's, you know, bunch of woo-woo or whatever.
Yeah.
It really does your thoughts. So your direction, you will go in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. So continue to think, if you think like, I will figure this out. I may not have the answer now, but I will figure it out. I'm going to connect to somebody who I know does have the answer, whatever it is. I'm going to figure it out. I will be successful. I will reach my goals this year. I can do this. I will make it happen. And you continually tell yourself that, see it, write it down, put it on your mirror, whatever you have to do, you will start going in the direction of those dominant thoughts. And so change your stinking thinking. Like, just, you have to. It's so important. And I know, like, I heard it from my mom when I was little. I remember her always telling me, like, you can't control other people. You can only control your own attitude. Like, it doesn't matter what your outside circumstances are. You get to control you. And there's so much freedom in that, because it doesn't matter what he's doing, what she's doing, what he said, what she said, the way you grew up, how you know, whatever, like, you can decide. Like, there's so much freedom in that. Like, if you don't like your situation, change it. Like, really. And so I just love that. So many people push away mindset because they're like, whatever, it's not that important. Or again, it's a bunch of woo-woo or whatever. But like, if you really study what mindset is and how it can change you, you will become fascinated, because it's amazing. Like,
it's so good.
It really is.
Man, it makes me think of another phrase, which of course I didn't come up with. There's this old phrase called the parable of the sower. Some people have heard about this before, but the idea that what you sow, you shall also reap. And it's so important to know that if I'm continually sowing negative thoughts, if I'm just spending my time in a negative way, I'm going to get negative stuff back. That's a fact, you know. And one of the I did a message a while ago where sometimes, I don't know that we do this like consciously completely, but we have a tendency, when I'm using the analogy of a farmer that sows seed, sometimes we pay too much attention to what the other farmers around us are doing. And instead of just simply sowing what we know is right, say, hey, you know what? Because when you spend a lot of time around, I'll just call some of these out. If I want to have a great marriage, but all of my closest friends don't have successful marriages, that's not put myself in the best position to be influenced by people who know what's going on, right? If I want to be financially successful, I don't need to be around just all wealthy people, but I will say, who do I want to listen to the most, right? I want to listen to people who know how to make money. I want to listen to people who know how to have a successful marriage because they've done it and they're doing it, right? And so the phrase that I wrote down was, sow good seed no matter what the farmer next to you is doing.
Right.
And I think that's really important, to surround yourself with people who are winning. In fact, people who have won. You want to have people ahead of you, people next to you, right? And we also want to mentor other people as well, because that's one of the reasons I enjoy just getting to know you more, because you're a winner and you're going in winning directions, and I want to spend time with winners, right?
Right. It is so important who you spend your time with. I mean, we've probably all heard that, right? Growing up as a parent of teenagers now, I'm like, your friend circle, you know, spend time with the people that are, you know, share your values, or going places, or doing things that you, you know, admire, things like that. But it is really important as business owners, as, you know, spouses, whatever, like, if I never want to be the smartest person in the room, right? I always want to be with those people that I can learn from and grow from. And And yeah, it is so, so important. And if you find yourself in that position where you look around and you're like, man, all my friends just kind of shoot all my dreams down. They make fun of my business. They, whatever. It's okay to remove yourself from that circle of friends. I think we've all kind of gone through those times where we've had to distance ourselves, even from close friends or friends that used to be close, or family members even, that are constantly being like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You're never going to succeed. Why are you doing that? It's okay. They can have less space in your day.
Yes.
That's fine. You need to set up those guardrails, those boundaries that, you put up to make yourself successful. So,
man, that's so good. Man, that's good. I got to share this one with you because I think everybody needs to hear this kind of thing. Dawn was the first leader maker I found in my journey. I really think she's an entrepreneurial genius.
Oh, that's so sweet. You guys are going to make me cry.
That's great. But yeah, I will say, I'm going to stumble through this, everybody. So just hear my heart here. I'm not fishing for compliments, and I know Dawn's not either. Mm-hmm. But when somebody does have an effect like that on your life, make sure you tell them. Yeah. Because I will tell you, leadership is a wonderful thing, but sometimes it's lonely. Mm-hmm. And there's sometimes you get exhausted. Sometimes you're pouring out of an empty cup. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you that I'm sorry I didn't see your name there, but you just put some water back in Dawn's cup, I promise. So make sure you get a chance to do that. Reach out to people and just send them a message, or heck, do it publicly, do it privately, but just tell them if somebody's helping you out, call them out and tell them thank you.
And that goes in any area. Yeah. On obviously here, my Mark or I, but even, somebody in your community or a family member or whatever, send them a little text and say like, hey, I really appreciate you. Yeah. You've made an impact on me here or whatever. Just, say that to people. Cause it really does. It does help. And there's days that I know Mark can probably relate where, being a business owner and being in a position that we're in where we're teaching other people, some days you just feel like, man, why am I in this position? Like either you feel like nobody's listening to you anyways, or you feel like, what difference are you really making or whatever. And so we're humans as well. So if there's a time or a whatever that you have been impacted, make sure you tell that person.
Absolutely.
It would mean a lot.
And boy, I believe in, you can call it whatever you want, but I believe that those things are sometimes used in a, I'm trying to find another word, but miraculous way, in that sometimes your timing is exactly what that person needed and you didn't know it. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and send that message, even though you think they don't need to hear it, because you might be wrong. Maybe today is the day they need it more than ever, but because of their position, they're not going to tell you that they need it.
Right.
So sometimes they need it. That's really, really good. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Can you believe this has been an hour? I
know, it's crazy. I still have half my list left.
Well, so you know what that means, right?
Part two.
Part two. And I'm not kidding at all. Let's, in fact, when we get off here, let's just look at the calendar. Let's put part two on the calendar, because this is really good. But before we go, I do want to make sure, if people came in late, tell them again where they can find you. I'll put your website on the screen, but just kind of encapsulate some of the things that you do, both your sign parties and also your mentorship. And we'll maybe find a way to wrap it up there, but tell them about you again real quick and where they can find you.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Dawn Marie with Sign Parties 101, and I teach people how to have a successful sign party business like I had. I started way back in 2016 and grew that business locally, and then decided to switch online to teach other people how to do what I've done. So that is basically what I'm doing. And then also now I'm getting into coaching, kind of teaching anybody, whether they're in the sign party niche or not, how to grow a successful business. So you can find me at dawnmarieleggett.com. I have my free Facebook group, which is Sign Parties 101. I'm on Instagram, Sign Parties 101, and I have my Facebook page as well. But that is basically it. I just came out with something new a couple weeks ago. It's called my Sign Party Playbook. So if somebody is interested in sign parties and just kind of wants to get the gist of it, I have a 21-day guide that will walk you through from ordering all the materials on day 1 to having your first party on day 21, with actionable steps every day, a little video, all that. So that's kind of fun. It's called the Sign Party Playbook. You can find that on the website as well. But yeah, so I just like to help people succeed, get off the ground. And one of my favorite things to do is getting people to do things they didn't think they could do.
Yes.
You know, I say the fruit is on the end of the limb, and sometimes you have to walk out on that limb, which feels uncomfortable, but then they do it and they're like, oh my gosh, that was the most amazing thing ever. I didn't think I could get up in front of somebody, or I didn't think I could go introduce myself to that person, or I didn't think blah, blah, blah. And they did it. And I gave them just like the little boost off of the ledge, and they went and did it. And then they're so proud of themselves. And that is one of like the best things as a coach, seeing, you know, your students spread their wings and do something that they didn't feel like they could do.
Yes.
And so giving people that confidence and maybe ruffling their feathers a little bit, because that's kind of what a coach does is, you know, I like to get people uncomfortable a little bit, because I feel like that's where we really grow. I put a thing, now let's see if I can remember it. I put it on my social media the other day. It said, there is life. It was a Brendan Burchard quote. It said, there is life beyond the comfort zone. So like, just if you're one of those people that just likes to sit in their little cozy comfort zone, like just think about how much life could be beyond that comfort zone.
And I don't know if I can add anything to that, but maybe your best life is beyond your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I think that might be true for most of us. You know, the things that I feel like I'm lacking, it's out there.
Yep.
You know, and not going to start. Wow. That is so good. You know, we have so many things we'd love to just talk about and process with everybody. So let me just kind of close with this, everybody. I hope this has been valuable to you. If you watch this later on after this live, we'd love to hear from you. Comment. We'll get notifications on that too. We'd love to see how much we can pour into you as individuals, as people, as business people. Know that Dawn and I both care a lot about all of you, and we want to see you succeed. And if you have questions that you want to ask publicly, great. If you want to message us, great. Of course, if it's on the weekends, we're going to try not to answer because we're working on balance and boundaries. And, you know, if Mark gets up in the middle of the night, he's not going to check his phone as much as he usually does. So we're going to work on that. But we would love to help you guys because we're in this for your success. And we'd love to just, however we can pour into you, we will. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Dawn, I'm going to ask publicly, will you come back and do this again?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I am recording it, so therefore I will actually refer you to this. So guys, thank you. Make sure you go follow Dawn everywhere. I want to see all of her follows jump up big time today. And just go find out more about her content. And I think it will really speak to a lot of you, and ask her questions if she can help you. Everybody, thanks for spending the time with us. Dawn, don't go away. You and I will talk in just a minute, but the rest of you, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you online and in our groups. We love you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you very much. See you later.